Alright guys, welcome back to another video. So in last video we talked about how to create a function in React, basically the filter function as drop down. So in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to convert from class component. Basically what we are using right now is a traditional class component to generate all of these functions, but I want to do is to convert this class component into React hooks. So what I mean by React hooks, we will look into that in a minute, and also I'll show you how to convert basically everything that we've done so far into React hooks. And without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to show you all of these articles. So there are 5 articles right here, and we quickly skim into all of this and see how can we actually apply to all of this, and what is the benefit of using React hooks. Okay, so now let's see what React hook is. So hooks are like additional to React 16.8. So in the latest React, they introduced to use this because it has got like a feature of functions benefits to that. So this is like a way to declare the one with the React hooks, not the one with the class component. So before getting into this, now let's have a look here at the class component that we previously used. Like there is a class keyword, and also with the instructors property here we set up the prop, and this dot and point out that the count by default we set it as 0, and this is like how we actually call it, which is this dot state dot count, which is number 0. And here we set like a function with a set state, and when this as like say by default is 0, when we click on this button it's going to add up 1, so it will keep adding to 1 2 3 4 5 etc. And this is how the previously we use all of this code. So for the React hooks, what we did is that we are using this use state. When we already declare that from the React library, we can just use it right here. So const count, and this is like set state. Basically it equal to set state, but we use it as set count, and any variable that you want to just call it. And this is like the function that we use from here. So here is the use state, and by default set it as 0, so this will set this count as 0. And when we call it, we don't need to do like this dot state dot count, but instead we just call it directly, which is coming from here. So you can already see that it saves a lot of time and code as well, like less code in this case. And here is the dot and the on click the function. So what we call is that we just use as set count without the, so this is what it look like. This dot state is just set state set count, and without this dot state dot count just call it directly, and when we click on that it's going to increase the number as seen here. And this is all about a React hook and function as well. So what is hooks? So it is a special function. It's not it's no longer like class component. We are using functions to call or to use this React hooks. So when would we use hooks? So realize that you add like some state to it. Previously you had to convert it into a class so that you can just use all of the state like set state etc. But for now, because we are using React hooks, we don't need to convert it into like class, say a class. We can just use it directly. Hook, you can use hook inside the existing function component, and this saves a lot of time writing less code, and also the performance as well. It's lightweight. Declaring like a state variable, so this similar to what I just showed you. And So here it says all of this state return, reading state. So you can see that is the difference between the class component and is the React hooks. Updating state. So this is what I just explained to you a moment ago, and this is all the recaps. Okay, so I think we're done for this page. I just quickly go through one by one, and here's a React state using the React hooks, similar to what I just showed you. It's like set state dot event dot target dot value, and here in the React hooks we can just use set value and put it into like a variable of we call it just on change, and then here's the on change value that we use it right here. So whenever that we set this as, so right now it's the value here is set it as empty, so no value at all. But when we type something with the input here, we type something, it's going to set the value. So say I type ABC, and then right here on change this value, it's going to set this as ABC, and it output right here as well, like real time. And the use effect, I'm going to explain you as well what use effects does. So if you remember in the previous video, I also used the component did mount, and when we try to convert it from the class component to React hooks, we can also use the same feature as well, but not a component did mount. It calls use effects, and it has got the same similar function, I would say, and look into that how to do it when we actually looking into the code. So next one here is to use the React hooks, how it works. So this is like the using the class component, but it's not what I'm going to show you. What I'm going to show you is actually here. So prevent the class effects from running every render. So you can see that when we use the component did mount, we don't need to use any like curly brackets here. But for the use effects, we should use this. I'll show you what I mean by that. So here, only run on mount or unmount. So add this empty array here as well. So we can just pass the special value of the empty array as a way to saying that only run on mount or unmount event. And if you want to change the value above, call just like this. So you can have a look more in detail with this article. And next one here is the life cycle, like generally what I just told you, the component did mount. So previously we used all of this component, and when we use the effects hooks, it looks something like this. Component did update, unmount. So next one here is the React hooks coming from the reactjs.org. So similarly, I just show you which the same as the other articles, and this is the use effects. Okay, so I'll put all of this link into the video description. You can have a look more in detail if you like to. And right, I think that basically it. Just quickly go into all of this article. So right now let's have a look into the code. Alright, so now let's have a look into the code, and here's we just use the class component. You can see the keyword here, class component, constructor, supers, and all of this dot state, value, the countries we set it as by default is like storing an array, and this is the cost, and we will get rid all of this as well. We no longer use this, and we will set this into storing into like a variable, and same as this. So also this will store into a variable, and here it is, the component did mount. So component did mount is that when we try to render the page, first it look into this component did mount. So we're going to change this into the use effect. And the render here, we will no longer use the render function. We will just need to use the returned. And I'll change this into like some sort of a new variable as well, because right here when you see it's render inside the render functions. So if I remove this function, and it's going to duplicate with the one coming from these countries here. So I'll change that into a new name. And alright, so we'll see you guys in a minute. I'll change all this code and we discuss what it's like. Okay, welcome back. So I already changed all the code here. So basically I go through one by one here. So first of all, I like to say that I have already changed it right here. So the class component changed into just cons, and this is the apps, and using all of this as a basically just a function, and without using all of this. And for the constructor, supers, and this dot state, I'll change that using the React hook into something like this. So storing in the constants, and this is the value here, and the set value it's equal to this dot set state. So we declare it on top here, and right here is the React dot use state, and we I just store it for now. It's like the empty array, but for now I can just change that into like coconut. And for the Reacts here, to save some code, we can just declare it on top there. So we do not need to use these things. So I declare it on top here, the use states. When I declare it on top here, I don't need to use this dot state anymore. Same as this. Alright. Okay, so now let's continue with the countries. So with these countries, what I did is that I used the useState keyword here, and I set it into the countries. The reason is that previously I don't use this dot set state for these countries. That's why I don't declare it here. And this is the causes. So by default it's stored as empty array, and this is the cost. Look pretty much the same, just quite similar basically. And this is the handle.submit. We no longer use this. I'll convert from these things into the ES6 function. So it looks something like this, and I store it into like a variable. We can also put this into a bracket as well. Doesn't matter. So next here is the same as the previous one, and this is the other one with the React converted into storing into the constant. And you see that this dot state become set value, because this is the value we are going to store into, and this is the value that getting from the handle change. So storing into a variable value, and the same as this just use set value directly, and the same as this. So for this I add a new, which is the const keyword here. It's going to store all of this into this function. And right here the component did mount, I change it to use effects, and you can see the difference here. So this is the const, and from here this dot set state into set causes, because it is the causes, and it is the variable causes. And remember to put it right here as well, the curly bracket, even though this doesn't have that. And the render, I remove that. I remove the render functions, and it's going to be something like this. So countries.json, otherwise it's going to be like duplicate one from the above one here, so which is the countries. So I change that. And you can see the difference. Why is that I don't put it here into this effects? Because back then I just want to show you like how it actually works, render it under inside this render functions. So it's good practice to put it into the use effect. And it's the same thing, just change that. We no longer use this keyword, so you can see that you can just call this function directly. .get value, and this is all the value here. And the this.state become just costs. And this one here, so if you notice, I don't use this anymore. The reason I used that back then is that because I use this the costs into with the function, can be a filter or can be .map to loop through all of those, and I can't just use like this.state .costs .filter. It going back then is going to throw me an error. So for now with React hooks, I can just use that directly because I just declared on top there with the use state, and then this is the return all of this, and the form submit into just without this keyword. And right here, same thing, no this.state, no this.handle change, just use that directly. And with this, so the this.state countries.map, so I just use this countries. And also with the console log, but then use like this.state.countries, now change to just countries for the debugging. And again with this, same thing. Okay, so this is how we convert from class component to React hooks. And you can see that this is the curly bracket that I comment out because of this render functions here. So now let's have a look at the website to see if it's working. Okay, so here it works fine, and same with all of these features, it works all fine right now. So this is like how we use the function for the filtering as a drop downs. So this is saying Java. So this is how we convert from the class component to React hooks, and this has got like a tons of benefit that I just described at the beginning of the video. And I think that basically that's all for this video, and hope you guys like this video. And if you got any questions, just ask me in the comment section below. See you guys in the next video.